What you're looking at here is a list that I have comprised of the different types of calculations you need to be able to do in Regents chemistry by halfway through the course. If you have a midterm exam that is coming up, or even if you're watching this and you're taking the Regents exam for January, these are some of the calculations you need to be able to do. The key is there's several here on the list that are not on reference table T, and more specifically, that is your average atomic mass calculation, half-life. Now, half-life you would do when you do nuclear chem. You may or may not have gotten up to that yet. Heat equations, combined gas law. Again, maybe you've done the gas unit, maybe you haven't yet. GFM, which stands for gram formula mass. Moles, that would be moles in mass, percent composition, and percent error. Let's take a look at reference table T. If we just go down the list of reference table T, you see density. Next one is, let me go back. Density. A lot of times when you're dealing with the density equation on a Regents question, you might not even know you're dealing with density. Just be careful. There are densities listed on reference table S for all the different elements on the periodic table. If you feel like you're missing a component, that might be where you have to go to actually look up the density of a particular element. Your mole calculations. Here is the calculation for moles given mass. Or if you're given the mass, you can calculate moles. The key is you have to, unless it's provided, figure out the gram formula mass for either an element, an individual element, or a compound, which of course is comprised of elements. There is no formula here for that. Sometimes you're just asked to determine a gram formula mass for a particular compound. Make sure you can do that. Percent error. Percent error calculation. What's tricky here is you're not going to be told necessarily in the question measured value versus accepted value. The measured value might be the student value or the experimental value. The accepted value might be called the known value. Or it might even be something like density I was just talking about, where you need to look up the value on reference table S. Percent composition. Anytime you're dealing with a percent, you're dealing with the part over the whole thing times 100. Make sure that your units are the same on the top and the bottom of the fraction. Concentration, that's done the second half of the course. Combined gas law. You may or may not have gotten to gases yet. The key with using this equation, if anything is remaining constant of the pressure, volume, and temperature, you can cancel it on both sides of the equation. You don't have to know which one's Boyle's and which one's Charles's law. Your units for pressure and volume need to be constant on either side of the equal sign. However, your temperature must be in Kelvin. So make sure that you convert it if it's given to you in Celsius. Titration, second half of the course. Your heat equations, here they are. The constants for water, specific heat capacity, heat of fusion, and heat of vaporization are on the front of the reference table. Don't forget, when it comes to heat of fusion or heat of vaporization, your temperature is remaining constant. Don't put a temperature in where it's not necessary. There is no change in temperature with the phase change. Finally, temperature, the different units, Kelvin versus degrees Celsius. The only difference between them is 273. If, again, you're dealing with the combined gas law, remember you have to change temperature into the Kelvin unit. That leaves us average atomic mass, half-life, GFM. In order to do those, you need to practice all the questions, but you're definitely going to want to practice those. I'm going to put a link here to my two midterm reviews, part 1 and part 2, for you to check out. Those would be questions that you would see for midterm time. They're definitely questions you would see if you're taking a Regents exam. And sure enough, for the August Regents exam, there was an average atomic mass question, there was a GFM question, and there was a half-life question. Make sure you practice all the different types of questions that you could possibly see on the test. Average atomic mass for sure shows up all the time. Half-life for sure shows up all the time. With that, check out more videos on my channel, and I wish you the best of luck.